Welcome to today's EESI podcast. Our subject, franchise success. And we're here with Smokey Moe's own Anthony Lucero. Anthony, welcome to today's podcast.
Thank you, Lou. Glad to be here.
Well, Smokey Moe's is an institution here in Texas. You have, I understand, 16 different locations around the state, and this is a franchise that began in 2000, July 2000 in Cedar Park, Texas. Give us a little bit of background and history about Smokey Moe's.
Yes, sir. So we started, like you said, July 2000. Our original location was in Cedar Park, Texas. Our owners, Morris and Lisa Melchor, they'd been in barbecue. Morris has been in barbecue since he was about 12 years old and just decided that it was time for him to do his own thing. So him and his wife, along with their kids, opened up the first store and just continued to grow it until we started franchising several years ago and just continued to build on that success.
Well, franchises have been undergoing some change here in the United States as well. What can you tell us about the state of franchises in the U.S.?
Franchises, honestly, a lot of people, when they think of it, they think of, your big names. They think of your McDonald's. They think of your Burger Kings, Subways. But franchising is honestly a lot bigger and a lot more ingrained in small business culture than people realize. For instance, Entrepreneur Magazine puts out their Franchise 500 every year. They just put out their 40th annual a couple of weeks ago. And in there, only 24% of the top 500 franchises in the country were restaurants, which is fascinating when you really think about what everybody's perception really is. And then just some of the data just here in Texas alone, franchises create 635,000 jobs at a combined payroll of nearly $24 billion a year. So franchises they just help so much and do so much for small businesses and create small business opportunities for so many people, and which is one of the things we love about doing it. We can give that ownership opportunity to somebody and really help them flourish.
Well, Smokey Moe's has been successful in operating as a franchise here in Texas. Why don't you give us a few keys to your success?
One of the biggest is, really finding people that are passionate about the restaurant and passionate about barbecue and really don't mind getting in there and putting in the hard work that it takes. Unfortunately, restaurants are not the easiest thing to work in. Anybody that's ever worked in a restaurant can attest to that. It takes a special kind of personality, but when you find those people, they are the best operators. And then once we find those people, it's our number one recipe for success that we have from day one always built on is local involvement, getting involved with local schools, local churches, really being a part of local sports teams, and just understanding our impact we have on the local area around us. And we definitely make sure we instill that in our franchisees, that they get involved from day one and get in there and really work with those booster clubs and get involved there. And it really reaps dividends tremendously.
So staying local is a significant key to the success of a franchise, especially a barbecue franchise like Smokey Moe's. What else would you say would be a key to your success?
Another one would be not growing too fast. There is something to be said for, and it looks really awesome when people know you got 50 locations ready to be built. You've got 400 more that are you're talking to and hopefully going to get signed in the next year. It's really cool, and it's a great talking point you can have with people, but we made sure that we didn't grow too fast, and we've been slowly growing at about a unit or two a year and hoping to slowly ramp that up a little bit. But too many people, they get moving too fast, get growing too fast, and they really outgrow themselves, and they outgrow what they can support. And that's one of the things we pride ourselves on is the ability to be there for our franchisees, and for anything going on with them, we're there to support them, and we know them personally. They're not just a name and a number. We know their kids, we know their families, we know their stories, and they're a part of the family. They're not just somebody else that's sending us money that we can cash and put in the bank. We're genuinely in this as a partnership, and that's something we feel is very important.
I would imagine that most people who invest in a franchise are looking for that turnkey kind of operation that's proven, and that support is obviously a very important part of their success, support from headquarters. And so you're saying that quick growth can sometimes lead to poor support. You're not able to give them all the help and the assistance that they need when they're starting up their company. And it also probably creates some logistical problems as well, I would think. Is that accurate?
Oh, it can, especially when it comes to food and procurement of product. If we outgrow ourselves, and especially like one of the things we pride ourselves on is we serve an only Texas-raised brisket. Well, if I opened up 5 stores in Washington out of nowhere, it would be very difficult to logistically get Texas-raised brisket all the way up to Washington. And just in general, when it comes to procurement of all products, if we're growing too fast, keeping up the logistics of getting those supply lines open and making sure all those products are available to them can be difficult if it's not done right and not done with a solid plan.
So staying local, not growing too fast. Is there another key to the success of Smokey Moe's that you would recommend to anyone who's in the franchise business?
Another one would be, don't be afraid to outsource. A lot of people feel like they need to do everything themselves, but what we have learned, and there's some things you need to keep internal, there's some things that you need to make sure you do on your own with your own hands, but there's a lot of things, there's a lot of great experts out there. You be an expert at what you do and let other people be experts at what they do, and it really pays dividends.
What are some of the things that you'd recommend outsourcing or that you at Smokey Moe'S outsource yourselves?
One of the easy ones is social media and marketing. There's a lot of great companies out there that will help you with your social media. They'll help you with posting. They'll help you with building your presence out there, marketing the same way. A lot of people aren't necessarily marketers by nature. They might be great operators, but marketing is kind of foreign to them, or they don't know what's available and what the options are out there, especially in today's changing climate where digital is becoming such a bigger piece and where everything's kind of going. And finding great marketers and people that know what they're doing can really be helpful and let you focus on your restaurant. Probably the biggest piece that I recommend is payroll and HR. That's something that we started early on here. It's just phenomenal because it just takes care of one of those key things that you don't want to have to worry about, and that is the liability that comes from a lot of HR-related issues and just having that support to make sure that everything is taken care of, payroll, taxes, benefits. I mean, obviously with the Affordable Care Act coming out several years ago and keeping up with that and knowing what all those changes that are happening there and having a partner that can help take care of that stuff for you is invaluable.
Now, you have been partnering with EESI for some period of time. How has that partnership impacted your business at Smokey Moe'S, and do you recommend that type of partnership for your franchises as well?
I do, and we definitely encourage all of our franchises to engage in not just a payroll and HR company, but actually a full PEO, which is what EESI is. For those who don't know, a PEO is a professional employment organization. And what they do is actually the employees are hired by the PEO and they are leased back to you. So they actually are responsible, the PEO is responsible for the employees, they're legally responsible for them, they file the taxes for them, gets rid of a lot of liability and just makes the management of those employees so much easier. And the reason we enjoy it is, like I said, they're a true partner with us, and especially EESI in particular has just been a phenomenal partner and somebody we've grown with that, you know, like I mentioned earlier, the Affordable Care Act and being a part of that and just helping us walk through what that was going to do, how we were going to be impacted, what our options were. Always out there shopping for the best benefits for us, for our team members, things that we couldn't do on our own. But because of their market reach and their power that they have in the market, they can go out and find these different options for us and different life insurance policies and different indemnity policies and so many things that can make an employee's life a lot easier. So it's something, and then you get into risk management and they help out with that. And being in a restaurant, that's obviously a big issue, and they help us with that. And then just general HR stuff, you know, sexual harassment issues, drug-related issues, just different things that come up with employees, that they are there with us, always helping, always coaching, always giving us recommendations on what they would do. It's a phenomenal resource that I don't know what we do without it.
Well, I think that's one of the hidden secrets to the success of many small business owners is outsourcing their HR to a company like EESI. Small business owners get into the business because they love it. I know that, for example, Morris Melchor was in the barbecue business at a very young age. Tell us about that briefly as an aside.
Yeah, so he actually started at a small barbecue restaurant in Houston at the age of 12. We actually have, it's kind of funny, we have a picture posted up in each restaurant. I think he was about 14 at the time, but a picture of him washing dishes and then an actual menu from that restaurant from that time. I believe it was 1964, if I remember right. But it just, you know, goes to show what things were back then. It's a very interesting piece of history and something that every one of our franchisees love to see in there, too, because it just kind of speaks to the spirit of where we came from and who we are.
What are your plans for Smokey Moe'S?
It's just to continue growing, continuing to provide value to our franchisees, and just continuing to find more people that have that same passion that we have and that same passion that our existing franchisees have for barbecue and for helping grow the brand. And that's one thing we've been extremely fortunate with. We're still small in that we only have 8 franchise locations, but we pride ourselves on we've never had to close a single franchise location, which is not common among many franchises, unfortunately, especially early on. You have some misses. You sometimes don't find the right people. We have been extremely fortunate that every single franchisee we have is a phenomenal addition to our system and somebody that we're happy to be a part of it and to continue to grow with. So we just want to continue growing, continuing to probably stay within the state of Texas for quite a while. I mean, it's a very large state, lots of market, lots of people love barbecue, so there's really no reason to get outside of that. But just continue just growing the brand and just sharing our passion.
If someone's listening to our program and they're interested in learning more about obtaining their own Smokey Moe's franchising, how can they get in touch with you, Anthony? How can they learn more about that?
The easiest way is send an email directly to me, Anthony at SmokeyMoe'sBBQ.com, and I'll be more than happy to get you information on it and share, what the next steps would be.
And for the rest of our listeners who may already have their own company, I would just mention that you have breakfast at Smokey Moe's. What's one of the specialties that you offer people for breakfast?
It's breakfast tacos. It's thankfully a Tex-Mex Texas tradition. I was reading an article the other day that there's actually a senator here in Texas that is wanting to name breakfast tacos the official breakfast item of Texas. So you can't go wrong with it. But we also have biscuits and gravy, and sausage biscuits as well was something we added about a year or two to the menu and has been a great addition.
Well, it sounds great to me. One last personal question. What would you say are the 2 or 3 most popular specialties at Moe's?
So you can't go wrong with Texas brisket. That one's an easy one. One of our, I don't even want to say it's a hidden gem because a lot of people know about it, but our most popular it's called the Chopped Baker, which is a fully loaded baked potato with a scoop of chopped beef on it. It's a delicious, and it's more than enough food you'll ever need. And what a lot of people don't know, and I always like to share, is you don't have to get it with chopped beef or with chopped meat on there. You can actually get any of our sliced meats put on there. My personal favorite is our jalapeno sausage. Chop that up, put it on there, adds a little kick to it, a little extra flavor, and it's delicious.
So get in touch with Anthony if you're interested in learning more about the Smokey Moe's franchise. And we thank you for listening to today's podcast. Anthony, thank you for your time. We look forward to talking with you again at some point in the future.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate having me on, Lou.
If you are a franchise owner or a small business owner who would like to learn more about outsourcing your own HR, simply contact EESI at 210-495-1171. That's 210-495-1171. And ask to speak with an EESI strategic business consultant. Or send us an email at hr@eesipeo.com. That's hr@eesipeo.com. Thank you for listening to today's EESI podcast, part of our goal to help you simplify business.